Do you believe the refrigerator is always the safest place to store all types of food? In reality, there are very familiar items in your kitchen that, when kept in the fridge, can silently generate harmful compounds such as aflatoxin, nitrosamine, and acrylamide. These substances have been repeatedly flagged by numerous international studies as being linked to digestive cancers, liver cancer, kidney cancer, and even esophageal cancer. After more than 20 years working in the field of geriatrics and nutrition for people over 60 in the U.S., I have noticed a concerning pattern. Many of my patients still believe that putting it in the fridge is absolutely safe. They have no idea that this habit, repeated daily, can weaken gut health, impair liver function, compromise the immune system, and significantly increase the risk of serious chronic diseases. In this video, I, Dr. Emily Carter, from the Senior Health Zone channel, will share with you 8 foods you should never store in the refrigerator if you want to stay healthy after age 60. I will explain exactly how cancer-causing compounds are formed, present specific scientific data from reputable studies, and guide you through safe alternatives so you can store food properly while protecting your long-term health. Count how many of these 8 foods are currently sitting in your fridge and share the number in the comments. The very dish you were planning to eat tonight might actually be a silent killer to your body. Now, let's begin with the first food on the list. Number 1. Garlic and onions. When it comes to familiar kitchen staples, garlic and onions are often considered heroes for enhancing flavor and supporting health. But few people realize that if stored improperly, especially in the refrigerator, they can turn into a silent enemy to your health, particularly for those over 60. For garlic, the biggest problem with refrigeration is that the humidity and low temperature can cause it to sprout quickly or develop mold. Mold on garlic can produce aflatoxin, a type of mycotoxin that the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, has classified as Group 1, meaning there is clear evidence it causes cancer in humans, especially liver cancer. A study published in the Food Control Journal in 2016 found that up to 18% of garlic samples stored in the refrigerator for more than 30 days were contaminated with Aspergillus flavus, the mold species that produces aflatoxin. The Times of India also warns, refrigerating garlic can lead to mold and cancer, so buy unpeeled garlic and keep it outside. This means that if you want to protect your health, especially at an age when your immune system is weaker, you should never keep garlic in the refrigerator for too long. The best practice is to store garlic unpeeled in a dry, well-ventilated place at room temperature and use it immediately after peeling. And what about onions? They may seem harmless, but in reality, refrigerating onions alters their starch structure, causing it to convert into sugar more quickly. This not only affects flavor, but also makes onions more prone to mold growth and moisture absorption, creating an ideal environment for bacterial contamination. According to nutritionist Kiran Kukreja, storing onions improperly, similar to storing potatoes, can increase the risk of forming compounds that are harmful to cells and may even be linked to cancer. The Times of India also notes that refrigerated onions often develop mold and bacteria in a short time, especially once they have been cut. For seniors, who are more vulnerable to infections and cellular damage, consuming moldy garlic or onions, or even those beginning to develop toxins, can trigger inflammation, digestive issues, and, in more severe cases, increase the risk of liver, stomach, and digestive tract cancers. That's why the clear medical advice is to store onions in a cool, ventilated place, away from direct sunlight, and never store them together with potatoes to avoid ethylene gas accelerating spoilage. If you've cut an onion in half, use it within 24 hours, wrap it tightly in food-safe wrap, and store it at a cool temperature, but avoid keeping it in the fridge for extended periods. So, don't let the convenience of the refrigerator make you complacent. Garlic and onions are truly beneficial to health only when stored properly. If you've just listened to this and suddenly remembered that you have a bag of garlic or onions that's been in your fridge for a week, check them now. You might be surprised by what you find. 2. Potatoes. Potatoes are one of the most popular foods in American meals, especially for those over 60, as they are easy to prepare, filling, and inexpensive. But if stored improperly, particularly in the refrigerator, potatoes can become a hidden source of cancer-causing compounds you might never suspect. For raw potatoes, the biggest concern is that the low temperature of the refrigerator causes the starch inside to convert into sugar more quickly. This might not sound alarming, but when these potatoes are later fried, baked, or roasted at high temperatures, the excess sugar reacts with the amino acids to form acrylamide, a compound the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, lists as likely to be carcinogenic to humans. Studies show that potatoes stored at 4 degrees, 39 degrees, for 30 days produce 2 to 3 times more acrylamide when fried than potatoes stored at a cool temperature of about 8 to 12 degrees, 46 to 54 degrees. For people over 60, long-term acrylamide consumption can increase the risk of kidney cancer, endometrial cancer, and certain digestive system cancers. With cooked potatoes, the danger comes from bacteria. If boiled, mashed, or baked potatoes are left to cool for too long before refrigeration, or stored without being sealed properly, harmful bacteria like Clostridium botulinum and Listeria monocytogenes can grow. Clostridium botulinum is the cause of botulism, a rare but hazardous form of food poisoning that can lead to muscle paralysis, difficulty breathing, and death. Older adults are especially vulnerable because their immune systems are weaker and less able to fight off these toxins. That's why raw potatoes should be stored in a cool, dark place at about 45 to 50 degrees, 7 to 10 degrees, and never in the refrigerator, to prevent starch from turning into sugar. Cooked potatoes should be cooled quickly, placed in an airtight container, and refrigerated within 2 hours of cooking. They should be eaten within 2 to 3 days, and when reheating, the internal temperature must reach at least 74 degrees, 165 degrees Celsius, to kill active bacteria. If you currently have a bag of raw potatoes or leftover mashed potatoes from last night sitting in your refrigerator, remember that every minute they spend there could be increasing your health risks. Proper storage not only helps potatoes maintain their nutritional value, but also protects you from hidden yet serious dangers. 3. Cooked eggs. Eggs are widely regarded as an excellent source of protein, easy to prepare, and rich in essential nutrients, especially important for people over 60 to help maintain muscle mass and overall health. However, many people make a common mistake: boiling or frying eggs, then keeping them in the refrigerator for several days and reheating them multiple times. It may seem harmless, but in reality, this habit can have silent effects, not only reducing nutritional value, but also posing long-term health risks. The problem begins with the oxidation of proteins and lipids in eggs. When cooked eggs are stored for an extended period, especially in the cold, humid environment of a refrigerator, the structure of the proteins and fats in the yolk gradually breaks down. If they are then reheated at high temperatures, oxidation accelerates, producing harmful byproducts such as protein carbonyl and malondialdehyde. A study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry in 2018 found that after 3 reheating cycles, the protein carbonyl content in eggs increased by more than 45% compared to eggs eaten immediately after cooking. These oxidized compounds can damage DNA, increase oxidative stress, a key factor linked to accelerated aging and many chronic diseases, including cancer. In addition, cooked eggs stored in the refrigerator for too long, especially if not kept in an airtight container, can become contaminated with bacteria such as Salmonella or Listeria monocytogenes. For adults over 60, even a small amount of these bacteria can cause severe food poisoning, with symptoms like diarrhea, fever, and abdominal pain. And in severe cases, it can lead to sepsis. That's why you should eat eggs immediately after cooking to get the maximum nutritional benefit and minimize risks. If you must store them, place them in an airtight container, refrigerate them within 2 hours of cooking, and consume them within 24 hours. When reheating, ensure they reach an internal temperature of at least 74 degrees, 165 degrees, to kill bacteria. And never reheat eggs multiple times, as each reheating cycle increases the amount of harmful oxidized compounds in your food. If you are in the habit of boiling a batch of eggs to eat over several days, now is the time to reconsider. A little convenience today could cost you your health tomorrow, especially when your body, after age 60, is no longer as resilient as it once was. 4. Cooked rice. Rice is a staple food in many households, including those of Asian Americans and individuals who adhere to traditional diets. But cooked rice, if stored improperly in the refrigerator, can become a serious source of food poisoning, and over time, may contribute to an increased risk of digestive tract cancers. The main culprit here is Bacillus cereus, a highly resilient spore-forming bacterium that can survive even after rice has been cooked. When rice is left to cool at room temperature for too long, or stored in the refrigerator incorrectly, these spores can germinate into bacteria and produce toxins. The dangerous part is that the toxins from Bacillus cereus are not destroyed by normal reheating temperatures. Once inside the body, they can cause diarrhea, vomiting, and rapid dehydration, a particularly serious threat for adults over 60 who are more prone to electrolyte imbalance and have a weakened immune system. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, Bacillus cereus is responsible for tens of thousands of food poisoning cases each year in the United States, with many occurring in older adults. Research shows that leaving rice at room temperature for more than 2 hours or refrigerating it for over 24 hours without rapid cooling significantly increases the risk of toxin production. To stay safe, cool rice quickly after cooking by spreading it out on a tray or shallow pan. Then place it in an airtight container and refrigerate it within 2 hours. Consume it within 24 hours for maximum safety. When reheating, ensure it reaches an internal temperature of at least 74 degrees, 165 degrees, to kill active bacteria. But remember, any toxins produced earlier will not be completely eliminated. The safest practice is to cook only the amount of rice you plan to eat for that meal, avoiding leftover rice sitting overnight. If you believe that putting leftover rice in the fridge makes it absolutely safe, remember, with Bacillus cereus, refrigeration only slows bacterial growth. It doesn't stop it entirely. And for people over 60, a single lapse in food safety can lead to severe and potentially life-threatening consequences. 5. Cooked mushrooms. Mushrooms are a nutrient-rich food, packed with plant-based protein, fiber, B vitamins, and valuable antioxidant compounds. For those over 60, mushrooms can support the immune system, improve digestion, and provide a light yet steady source of energy. But there's an important fact many people don't know. Cooked mushrooms, if stored in the refrigerator for too long or reheated multiple times, can transform from a superfood into a potential health risk. The main reason lies in the breakdown of proteins and polyphenols. Once mushrooms are cooked, their protein structure begins to change. If kept in the refrigerator for more than 24 hours, oxidation reactions occur, reducing antioxidant levels and producing harmful lipid oxidation products that can damage cells. A 2017 study from Belgium found that reheating mushrooms after 24 hours of storage reduced their antioxidant activity by up to 35%, while increasing lipid oxidation products by over 20% compared to freshly cooked mushrooms. Over time, these oxidized compounds can contribute to chronic inflammation, a known risk factor for cancer and cardiovascular disease. Additionally, mushrooms have a high moisture content, and if they are not stored in an airtight container or are kept near raw foods in the refrigerator, they can easily be cross-contaminated with harmful bacteria such as Listeria or Salmonella. For adults over 60, even a small dose of these bacteria can cause severe food poisoning, with symptoms ranging from abdominal pain, diarrhea, and fever to sepsis in more serious cases. That's why you should eat mushrooms immediately after cooking to preserve their full nutritional value. If you must store them, place them in an airtight container, cool them quickly after cooking, and consume them within 24 hours. When reheating, ensure they reach an internal temperature of at least 74 degrees, 165 degrees, and reheat only once. Repeated reheating will only continue to increase the levels of harmful oxidized compounds. If you have a habit of making a large pot of mushroom soup or stir-fried mushrooms to eat over the week, it's time to stop. With mushrooms, freshness not only determines flavor, it marks the line between health benefits and hidden health risks, especially for those over age 60. 6. Processed meats. Processed meats, including popular varieties such as sausage, bacon, deli meats, hot dogs, ham, and salami, are favored by many people over 60 for their convenience, ease of preparation, and savory flavor. But behind this appeal lies one of the food categories the World Health Organization, WHO, has classified as Group 1, with clear evidence of causing cancer in humans, particularly colorectal cancer. The greatest danger comes from nitrites and nitrates, additives used to preserve the meat's pink color and prevent bacterial growth. Once consumed, these nitrites/nitrates can combine with amino acids in the meat and the acidic environment of the stomach to form N-nitroso compounds, especially nitrosamines, compounds proven to be carcinogenic to humans. A study published in The Lancet Oncology in 2015 found that consuming just 50 grams of processed meat per day, equivalent to 1 hot dog or 2 slices of bacon, increased the risk of colorectal cancer by 18%. The risks don't stop there. If processed meats are stored in the refrigerator for an extended time, the oxidation of fats and proteins continues, producing oxidative byproducts that contribute to chronic inflammation and cell damage. This is why, even when processed meat hasn't spoiled, items like deli meat or sausage kept too long can still be unsafe, especially for older adults with weakened immune systems. For these reasons, you should minimize your intake of processed meats. If you must eat them, choose products labeled nitrite-free, nitrate-free, or uncured, and consume them immediately after opening. Never keep opened processed meat in the refrigerator for more than 3 to 4 days, and avoid reheating it multiple times. For people over 60, each meal should prioritize fresh meat, cooked by boiling, steaming, or light roasting at moderate temperatures to limit the formation of harmful compounds. If you currently have a pack of sausage or deli meat stored in your fridge, now is the time to rethink that habit. The convenience of processed meats can come at the cost of your long-term health, and that's a price we can completely avoid. 7. Bread is a quick, convenient food that appears regularly in many households' breakfasts, including those of older adults. But one habit I often see among my patients is buying bread and storing it in the refrigerator, thinking it will keep the bread fresher and safer for longer. In reality, this method can lower quality, reduce nutrition, and even create potential health risks if mold develops. The first issue is that refrigeration accelerates stalling, the process where starch retrogrades, making bread dry, hard, and less flavorful. More concerning is that the cold, humid environment of the refrigerator, especially if the bread isn't sealed properly, can promote the growth of molds such as Aspergillus or Penicillium. Some strains of these molds produce mycotoxins, including aflatoxin and acrylamide, compounds that the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, has classified as carcinogenic, particularly for liver cancer and kidney cancer. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, once bread is moldy, you cannot simply cut off the moldy part and continue eating it, because mold filaments and toxins may have already spread deep into the bread where they are not visible. This is especially dangerous for older adults, whose weakened immune systems make it harder to fight the harmful effects of mold toxins, thereby increasing the risk of chronic diseases, including cancer. My advice is, if you plan to eat bread within 2-3 days, store it at room temperature in a sealed bag to prevent moisture exposure. If you need to store it longer, freeze it instead of refrigerating, as freezing completely halts mold growth and preserves flavor better. When ready to eat, you can thaw it or toast it directly. Most importantly, if you see any sign of mold, even a tiny spot, Discard the entire loaf to ensure safety. Don't let what seems like a harmless loaf of bread become a hidden source of toxins in your daily meals. For people over 60, every correct decision in food storage is a step toward protecting both health and longevity. 8. Unripe avocados. Avocados are a true superfood, rich in healthy fats, vitamin E, lutein, and powerful antioxidants that help protect the heart, brain, and eyes, organs that become especially important to safeguard once we pass the age of 60. However, one common mistake I see many people make is buying unripe avocados and immediately placing them in the refrigerator, hoping to keep them fresh for longer. In reality, this not only causes avocados to lose their flavor and creamy texture, but also significantly reduces their nutritional value. The reason is that the ripening process of avocados must occur at room temperature. When unripe avocados are placed in the refrigerator, the low temperature slows or even halts the activity of the enzymes responsible for softening the fruit and developing its flavor. As a result, the flesh becomes fibrous, less sweet, and prone to browning internally. A study published in Post-Harvest Biology and Technology in 2019 found that unripe avocados stored at 5 degrees 41 degrees Celsius lost up to 23% of their lutein content and experienced a significant reduction in antioxidant activity compared to naturally ripened avocados kept at 20 degrees 68 degrees. This is a major loss, as lutein is a vital compound that helps protect the retina and prevent age-related macular degeneration, a common eye condition in older adults. In addition, low temperatures can cause a condition known as chilling injury in avocados, leading to brown spots inside the flesh, diminishing both sensory quality and nutritional value. For people over 60, eating fresh, naturally ripened avocados not only enhances flavor, but also maximizes the health benefits this fruit offers. That's why you should let avocados ripen naturally at room temperature. Once they reach the desired softness, you can place them in the refrigerator to slow the ripening process for another 1-2 days. If you're not ready to eat them, suppose you want to speed up ripening, place the avocado in a paper bag with a ripe banana or apple. In that case, the ethylene gas released will accelerate ripening while preserving nutritional quality. Remember, with avocados, the timing and method of storage directly determine the health value you receive. A naturally ripened avocado is not only tastier, but also allows you to take full advantage of its precious nutrients, especially important when your health, after age 60, needs the most optimal care possible. We've just explored 8 common foods, from garlic, onions, raw and cooked potatoes, eggs, cooked rice, cooked mushrooms, processed meats, and bread, to unripe avocados that, if stored improperly in the refrigerator, can lose significant nutritional value and even pose a potential cancer risk. The key takeaway I want you to remember is this: the fridge is not always the safest solution for every food. Low temperatures, high humidity, and prolonged storage can create the perfect environment for bacteria, mold, and chemical reactions that produce harmful compounds such as aflatoxin, nitrosamines, and acrylamide. For those over 60, the immune system is weaker, and the liver and kidneys work less efficiently, which means the body's ability to eliminate toxins is reduced. This also means that even a small mistake in food storage can lead to serious health consequences, from digestive issues and infections to chronic illnesses and even cancer. My advice is this: always prioritize fresh foods, cook only the amount you need for each meal, and choose the right storage method for each food type. If refrigeration is necessary, follow the principles of rapid cooling, airtight storage, and consuming within the recommended time frame. Don't forget to check regularly and discard any food that shows signs of spoilage, mold, or changes in smell and texture. Turn today's knowledge into action right in your kitchen. Just a few small changes in daily habits can significantly reduce the risk of foodborne toxins, protect your health, and extend your lifespan. Now, I'd like to hear from you. Out of these 8 foods you should never store in the refrigerator, how many have you kept in your home before? Leave the number or the names of the foods in the comments so we can discuss. Who knows? Your story might help others recognize and change harmful food storage habits in time. If you found today's information valuable for senior health over 60, don't forget to subscribe to Senior Health Zone and turn on the notification bell, because every week I share accurate medical insights, the latest research, and practical tips to help you stay healthy, live longer, and enjoy your golden years to the fullest. You can also share this video with your family, friends, or anyone you think might be making mistakes in food storage. A small action today could prevent major health risks in the future. And remember to return to this video after you've made changes to your habits and share your results. I'd love to hear your story firsthand.